Smith. When people hear the phrase, the richest man in the world, their first thought is usually about luck, privilege, or timing. They assume he must have been born into money or stumbled into a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. But here's the uncomfortable truth. While luck and timing always play a role, what truly separates him from the average person are principles that are right in front of us, principles most Americans consistently ignore. Think about it. The richest man didn't just wake up one morning with billions. His fortune came from a long-term vision. While most people are focused on the next paycheck, the next weekend, or the next gadget, he's been playing a game measured in decades. When the average American asks, "How can I afford this right now?" the wealthiest individual asks, "How will this decision look 10 years from now?" That shift in perspective creates an entirely different trajectory. Instead of chasing temporary satisfaction, he invests in ideas, businesses, and systems that grow over time. Another factor is ownership. The richest man doesn't trade hours for dollars like most people do. He owns assets. He builds companies, creates platforms, and holds stakes in businesses that make money whether he's actively working or not. This is where the majority of Americans get stuck. They're taught to get a job, save a little, and hope retirement will take care of them. But ownership, stocks, real estate businesses, that's where the compounding happens. That's where a dollar grows into 10 and 10 grows into 100. Ownership is how you break free from the cycle of trading time for money. Then there's the power of leverage. He doesn't try to do everything himself. He builds teams, uses technology, and creates systems that multiply his efforts 1,000 times over. Contrast that with the average American who insists on doing everything alone or refuses to learn how to use leverage effectively. The result: the wealthiest individual spends his time on the highest value decisions, while others get buried in tasks that don't move the needle. But here's the most overlooked secret: discipline and reinvestment. The richest man didn't get there by spending his money on flashy cars or the biggest house. Every time he made a profit, he reinvested relentlessly. While most Americans upgrade their lifestyle with every raise or bonus, then he kept pushing capital back into his businesses, back into investments, back into opportunities that expanded his fortune. That patience, the ability to delay gratification, is what allowed his wealth to snowball into a fortune that looks untouchable today. So what's the takeaway? The richest man in the world isn't just proof that money can be made. He's proof that the principles of wealth are available to anyone willing to think differently. Long-term vision, ownership, leverage, and disciplined reinvestment. These aren't secrets hidden in boardrooms. They're strategies hiding in plain sight. The only difference is that most Americans ignore them. If you want to change your financial future, stop focusing on the quick wins and start modeling the habits of those who've already built empires. Because the truth is, the gap between you and the richest man in the world isn't intelligence, luck, or background. It's discipline, patience, and the courage to think long-term. Wealth at that level doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of a long-term vision that very few people are willing to adopt. Investment. The richest man in the world isn't obsessed with what's trending today or how much he can make this month. He's obsessed with where the world will be 10, 20, or even 50 years from now. That forward-thinking mindset allows him to position himself in industries before they explode, to make investments before they become mainstream, and to patiently wait while everyone else gets distracted by quick profits. Most Americans, on the other hand, are conditioned to think in short cycles: the next paycheck, the next car payment, the next vacation. But the difference between temporary comfort and generational wealth is the ability to sacrifice today for a bigger tomorrow. Vision means building when no one else believes, holding when others panic, and staying focused when distractions are everywhere. This is why fortune compounds in his favor, because every decision he makes is tied to the future, not the moment. Investment. That mindset of delayed gratification and decades-long planning is the foundation most people ignore, yet it's the most powerful wealth-building principle of all. The richest man in the world doesn't just rely on income. He focuses on ownership. Income is temporary. It disappears as soon as you stop working. Ownership, on the other hand, keeps generating wealth whether you're involved or not. This is why his fortune comes from stakes in companies, intellectual property, and assets that keep appreciating over time. Everything makes a good investment. When you own something, whether it's shares in a business, a piece of real estate, or a platform, you're no longer trading hours for dollars. You're building equity that grows in the background often faster than you could ever earn through labor alone. Most Americans miss this because they prioritize earning a salary, climbing the career ladder, and spending that income as quickly as it comes in. But ownership is where the real compounding takes place. Every dividend, every piece of equity, every reinvested profit adds another layer to the snowball effect. The richest man understands this deeply, which is why he holds on to assets that multiply in value over years, not days. While most people work for money, he makes money work for him. And that's the quiet but decisive factor separating wealth that lasts a lifetime from income that disappears overnight. Another defining factor behind his fortune is leverage. Investment. The richest man in the world understands that wealth isn't built by doing everything yourself. It's built by multiplying your efforts through systems, people, and technology. Instead of asking, how can I do this alone? He asks, how can this be scaled 1,000 times over without me being directly involved? That's why he invests in automation, hires top talent, and creates structures where his input produces exponential output. This kind of leverage turns one decision, one product, or one idea into a global force that generates billions. Compare that with the average American, and who often works harder rather than smarter, stuck in the belief that success comes only through personal effort. Without leverage, growth is capped by time and energy. With leverage, growth becomes limitless. The richest man has mastered this principle, freeing himself from the constraints of working hour to hour. Every system he builds continues to operate, expand, and generate wealth even while he sleeps. Everything makes a good investment. This is the difference between creating a job and creating an empire, the ability to magnify impact through leverage while others remain trapped by the limits of doing everything on their own. Discipline and reinvestment are the invisible engines driving massive fortunes, yet they're the habits most Americans ignore. The richest man in the world didn't reach that status by spending every profit on luxury or constantly upgrading his lifestyle. Instead, he funneled money back into his businesses, into research, into acquisitions, and into assets that would multiply over time. That repeated act of reinvestment allowed small wins to snowball into monumental gains. Discipline plays a huge role here because reinvesting requires patience and the ability to delay gratification. While many people celebrate a raise or a bonus by buying something new, he views every dollar as an opportunity to generate more dollars. That mindset transforms money from a tool of consumption into a tool of creation. The average American overlooks this principle, chasing comfort and short-term pleasure instead of allowing capital to grow. But discipline means saying no to unnecessary spending today so that wealth can expand tomorrow. Reinvestment means letting money compound. Investment, not sit idle. Together, these two habits are the quiet yet powerful secrets behind fortunes that seem unreachable, secrets that anyone could adopt, but most choose to ignore.